why can't you lose the weight? What it all comes down to, it needs to be simple, sensible, and sustainable.
When was the last time that you got out of a workout and you regretted it? Did you know, by the way, that there are a handful of food products here in the country that are actually banned in other countries? Most human beings after the age of 35 never sprint again.
It's crazy.
Carlos Reyes on the humble show. Yeah, we all in, yeah, we all in. So grab your boys now, cause you know we all win. Lift your hands up and give them praise. Blessed every day, full of grace. Yeah, we all in, yeah, we all in.
Welcome back to the All In Podcast. I am your host, Carlos Reyes. You want to stick around today. We have a very, very special guest in the building. But before I introduce this very special guest, let's introduce the usual suspects on the show. Mr. Phil LeConte, my solar partner, and my other solar partner here, Mr. Garret Jors, and the other usual suspect in the building, Mr. Born Closer, aka Adrian Salgado. Now, my very special guest that we have here in the studio, Marine Corps, served the Marine Corps, actor, celebrity fitness trainer, man, just an overall amazing human being, Mr. Aaron Williamson. Brother, welcome to the show.
It's good to be on. We've been talking about doing this for a while.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. For several months, actually, several months. And, you know, I want you to know that this show has been years in the works, right? Between building our companies and everything else that we got going on, it took us way too long to get this show on the road. This is probably episode, what, 13? What is it? 15, episode 15. And it's already doing amazing. You know, it's being well received by a lot of people. And man, we're just having a lot of fun. We're having a lot of fun being ourselves, and we're having a lot of fun just speaking the truth and talking about the things that really matter, brother. And that's why you, my friend, are the right fit for this show. So thank you for being here today.
Yeah, it's good to be on a place where you can actually talk the truth and be real.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, brother. So, you know, first and foremost, man, what is life like right now for you in general? I see you moving around a lot. I see you doing a lot of traveling.
Yeah.
I see you building a company. You know, I see you continue to just live in your excellence every single day, man. What do you got going on?
You know, I just did an Instagram post this morning saying the past 11 months, I've been in the most intense transformation of my life. I mean, there's several transformations that I've went through, but this is probably the most intense because it's the first time as a civilian I'm back in a team environment, and I'm around people who are just really striving for excellence. And when you're in that culture where everyone's just constantly required to be on top of their game because you're working with very important people who, you know, spend a lot of money and who believe in what you say and what you preach. So it's like you have to be what you say you are. You have to lead by example.
Absolutely.
And so being where I am right now, it's very satisfying because when I left the Marine Corps, I was indoctrinated into civilian society for the first time as an adult, and I just wasn't ready for it. I mean, I got burned. I didn't really understand the whole concept of
being a civilian.
Yeah, I mean, it's if I say something to you, it's ironclad.
Yeah.
Whereas in general, everyone talks but backs it up with nothing, and it's the handshake doesn't mean anything.
Correct.
So it was a hard lesson learned, and I just became a recluse. So being in a team environment right now where I have the brotherhood, the camaraderie, but also the purpose behind it again, because that's what's been lacking since I left was like, what am I doing? I don't function too well if I don't have a mission behind what I'm doing, right? I don't just kind of float through life having fun, just, you know, taking it day by day. I need a goal that I'm trying to achieve, you know, benchmark, so to speak. So that's what we're doing right now, you know, and when I came over to work with Andy, I really had no idea what I was getting into. And then when I got there, it was like split my mind wide open. I talk about living in that whole David Goggins scenario of the live autopsy, because now you're really examining the truth of your life. And for me before, it was like I just wanted to stay away from everybody. I didn't want to be in a team environment. I didn't want to do what I'm doing right now because I wasn't ready to be around people. But being where I am right now, I'm busier than I've ever been. The purpose is deeper than it's ever been. And then we're continually growing to a degree that I can't even put into words.
Yeah.
And it's like you when you see people out there who just kind of blow up, it's like all of a sudden they're like, where'd this guy come from? With Andy, I mean, I think when I started following him last year on Instagram, I had more followers than him. I had no idea who he was. And now we're making massive moves. A lot of people know who he is. And I'm bringing him into my world of fitness, and he's kind of bringing me into his world of business and mindset.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just a really great partnership.
I love it, brother. You know, in my opinion, just being around, I've been around for a while. You know, I've been around for a while. I've been around a lot of influencers. I've been around every speaker you can think of, right? And you specifically, you know, from the moment I met you, there was just a beautiful, just humble giant, you know, spirit that came from you. And I immediately respected you. And I you know, first of all, your body, right? Your body usually speaks for you before you even say a word. That tells me who you are, what you're about, you know, what your discipline is like, etc. But that wasn't even it, man. It was just your attitude, right? Like your humble spirit. And brother, again, if you ask these guys, personally, me, I live in a circle or a bubble that big also because of some of the same things you just mentioned. I've been burned multiple times for millions of dollars, right? I've been burned by employees. I've been burned by family members. I've been burned by partners, right? So you start to develop this like scar tissue, and you're like, you know what? Yeah, I'm not going to take you for, I'm not going to listen to what you say. I'm going to watch what you do, right? That's the world that I live in now. And, you know, I was observing you, you know, for a little while, and every time that we share some space, you were the guy that I was like, man, I like this guy, you know, I like this guy. And you know what? I think you have that effect on many people. And I just want you to know that you already know this, but you're a very powerful human being. You are a unique, powerful human being. And that is so rare in today's society, brother. So, you know, man, God bless you for that, by the way. Right.
Appreciate that.
So, fellas,
When did you get into the Marines?
So I graduated high school the summer of '98, and
You went straight
a
in?
couple weeks after I went right in.
And
So
you-
it was like I went from high school, just this kid who had no direction.
where were you living?
Daytona Beach, Florida. Bad
Okay.
kid, dude. Like overdosed on drugs in 7th grade, almost died. You know,
Oh, wow.
floated around to, you know, staying with different people. My grandparents, you know, was at a, you know, in a, I don't know, a psychiatric hospital, almost ready to go into foster care. And my mom came back and got me. So my childhood was, you know, filled with a lot of turmoil, as most of us are these days. It's like, all right, well, how do you recover from it? What do you do? And I remember this one dude who was was on the varsity football team in high school with me. And he looked like Goldberg, just jacked, shaved head, big traps. And when he graduated, he went in the Marine Corps. And I remember when he came back from boot camp, I was like, who is this guy? Like, completely different person.
Mhm.
And I was so intrigued by it. I was like, that's what I want. I need that. So I enlisted and went to Paris Island, and that was my first real transformation.
And then when did you get out?
So I ended active service in the summer of 2005, and I had the option to do like contract work, as most people would know it as, like DynCorp, Blackwater, kind of a shooter type deal. But I chose the technology route, doing biometrics. So it was my whole time doing contract work was all about identity management, which is biometrics. So it's a side of the war that you don't ever hear about, because it's sensitive in nature when you're doing iris scans and fingerprints and things like that. But I had 10 tier 1 sites, 5 tier 2 sites, and 3 DNA labs all over the country. So we were constantly traveling, you know, being a part of these tactical raids and trying to round up bad guys through the use of biometrics. If you're one of these assholes out there who's making bombs, and that IED goes off, and my forensics team picks that up and goes back to the lab, they'll pull your print off of it and we'll come find you.
Yeah.
How far
Wow.
advanced
Love that.
was the military when you were in there compared to when you walked out, what society thought of the military to what you saw in the military?
In terms of like
How
technology,
far advanced are we just as a military?
dude, I don't even know, man. Like, I don't know how it is right now. Like, I honestly don't. I just
Mhm.
know what the military is now. I can't say I would love to be a part of it with the leadership that we have.
Wow, that was going to be a question.
That was a question that we
somebody
had,
had that for you.
Yeah, I mean, but
yeah.
it's like, the military is for a purpose. It's
Yeah.
it's not to be messed with to get political. It's like we have freedom in this country for a purpose, which is slowly fading away.
Yeah.
And I think people are complacent with the idea of what the military actually is and what it means and what it stands for. And until we get that mindset back, we're just going to completely be going in the wrong direction.
It seems like all the military and just armed services in general now are just an alternative to college.
Yeah, well, this is one of the things, right? When someone says to me, my son wants to join the military, what advice do you have for him? I'm like, well, why does he want to join?
Yeah.
Mhm.
If he says college, I don't even want to talk to you,
Right.
because that's the wrong reason to join.
Yeah.
In my eyes, you should join knowing that there's a chance you could end up in a bad place, and there's a chance you could end up going to war.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's the reality of the military. And when you try and think about it as, I want to go in the military for college and benefits, then what happens when you actually have to go to that bad place? And when you are engaged in war,
Mhm.
and you crumble, you turn into a bitch, and then someone dies because of your weakness.
Yeah.
Correct.
No way. No way.
Where would you start if you were to redo the model of the military today? I mean, with it being corrupted in some way, or with kids watching what's happening globally at us as a nation, right? And they don't want to be a part of something it almost to me looks like young people are fighting an old man's bicker with another old man in a way, if I look at it like retrospect. But if you were to go in there, where would you start to pull out the cords and to kind of redo what's going on in there?
I mean, what it all comes down to is the leadership needs to be non-biased. The leadership needs to be mission-oriented, mission-focused, not on one side of the political spectrum or the other. It's like the job is the mission at hand, which is keeping the homeland safe.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever the mission is across the board, whatever country you're trying to go to. And I think we realized very quickly in Iraq and Afghanistan, you can't force democracy in all countries because it just doesn't work. And I saw it firsthand in Iraq. I saw it firsthand in Afghanistan. When you're in Iraq, there are a lot of people there who really want that freedom, but at the same time, most of the people there don't really understand what that concept is and how it works, because the leadership and the way everything's been run for so long, it's like the idea of it sounds cool, but how does it work? And then you just fall into all the different corruption and stuff like that. So I don't know, man, we're just in a really weird time. And I just pray to God we get some solid leadership back into this country like yesterday.
I think it's also important that most people don't understand. My favorite people to work with and hire within our organization are typically former veterans and blue collar workers. Veterans, because just like you said, they're more mission oriented, right? They also understand like a hierarchy of respect, and it's always to be held within each other. But, I'm grateful that you found a brotherhood, because most people don't understand like the value of our word, at least most men in today's world, right? And so the importance of the word and you finding that, how did that lift you up and bring new life into you? Because you were recluse, right? But now you're out, you're at all the events, right? You're leading the fitness company. So how did that bring new life into you by getting back into that?
I mean, what it came down to for me is it allowed me to just kind of get back into some more of the leadership style that I've been used to leading Marines. Creating structure and different processes, and then at the end of the day, really just helping my team become the best they can be with what I have to offer,
Mm-hmm.
which is the health and fitness side, right? Because Andy talks about fitness so much. Well, let me help you now become what you need to become and what you want to become, but you've been falling short of it because there's missing gaps here. And that's where I come in and I help you, fill those gaps. Why can't you lose the weight? Why can't you put the muscle on? What is it that's preventing you from getting where you want to go with fitness? And I mean, honestly, man, most of it comes down to mindset and nutrition, really.
Yeah.
Because everything in health and fitness is mental. It's all one big mind game.
For sure.
And once you can conquer that, then I mean, you'll have the most ultimate physique, I believe.
And by the way, there's a science to it.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, there's a science to it, but we're again like in this new age of social media and technology and all this stuff. What's happened now in fitness, in my opinion, is it's become so overly complicated that people can't even have fun anymore. And you have with fitness, you have to make it fun. You have to make it enjoyable because it's a lifestyle. So if I'm doing a program for you and I'm just
destroying me,
I'm making it almost impossible for you to live, because it's like, well, water, can I drink it out of a plastic bottle? Does it have to be glass? Artificial sweeteners, can I have them? Like, I mean, you can complicate things so much, but what it all comes down to, it needs to be simple, sensible, and sustainable. And I get that from my buddy Stan Efferding, and it's the most beautiful analogy of it, right? Because if you can find that right there, you'll be successful. And then once you start to adapt into these new lifestyle habits, then you can start going to the next level, and you can start going to the next level. But you can't come all in at one time, and because that's where people fail. It's too much. And I say there are different levels to this health and fitness game, and it's a matter of how far do you want to take it. For me, I want to go as high as possible, but not everyone's there. Some people just want to be healthier and
be able to play with their kids,
and chase their kids out and not feel like they're going to have a heart attack.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's statistics out there that most human beings after the age of 35 never sprint again.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That was a real stat, by the way.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it's a real stat.
I sprinted in Sedona. Remember down the mountain?
That wasn't a sprint, by the way.
That was a
that was a jog.
It felt like a sprint because I hadn't sprinted in over 10 years.
His hips were tight. That's why it didn't look like a sprint.
The last time I tried to sprint, I tore my Achilles.
You're right, brother. Especially in the world that you're in now, you're in the business world, you're in the entrepreneur world, right? The first thing that entrepreneurs and business people neglect is what, right?
Oh yeah.
Their health. Their health, when we had Cavallini on here, which is another guy I respect, got to introduce you both. You guys, I think, right? You guys speak the same language.
For sure.
And when we had Cavallini on here, he was touching on all those pain points about, the way that we're living. We're the most obese country in the world, right? I just got back. I've been spending a lot of time in Mexico lately, right? And literally like the last 8 out of 20 some days I've been in Mexico. And brother, when I tell you that even the chips that they have down there, right? They don't have the red dye 40 and all these different chemicals, right? The first thing I told my wife, and I told this dude, I'm like, are they trying to kill us over there? Are they trying to poison us, in the US? Because I'm not seeing a lot of the same ingredients here that I'm seeing in the US, right? And then I came to the realization that it's all one vicious cycle. It's a one big ecosystem, right? It's like they make you sick, right? They make you sick so that you need the pharmaceuticals, right? And then you're like, you have the pharmaceuticals, so then you never really get healthy. It's like one big vicious cycle. You know what I mean?
They all feed each other.
That's right.
I mean, it's like,
it's toxic capitalism.
Yeah, you get the food scientists creating foods to get you addicted. So now your body's all dicked up. You're full of inflammation. You got all these issues now. You don't know what's going on with your body. You go to the doctor. The doctor says you got this. So now you get put on this medication, which if you go back to simplicity and the reality of taking care of your health, if you wouldn't have eaten the stuff that you were eating that caused you to look like that and feel like that, you would have never went to the doctor. You would have never been diagnosed with something you don't have and put on medication you don't need. So that's really what it comes down to, is we're just in this mode of here in America, we just want to eat based around comfort.
Pleasure.
reward
Yeah, it's
and
an-
enjoyment. And
Yeah.
it's like,
And it's escapism too, though. For
It
many
is.
people, like
It is.
the times that I've gotten up to 280
Yeah.
and I look pretty damn bad. I looked really sick. It was my form of escapism from the daily stress of life and the daily stress of building companies.
Yeah.
Right? It's like how do I escape this? Right? And at that point, I wasn't in a spiritual state where I can go up to Sedona for a hike or spend time with my children and be present. Right? It was like, okay, food, alcohol. You know what I mean? Like that was my form of escapism.
the ultimate deadly combo right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Food and alcohol.
Bad food and alcohol.
Yeah. You know, it's really interesting, you know, talking to all these people who come to our seminars and when we travel across the board, it's generally the same. And most people, they just aren't ready. And they're not ready because they don't really know.
They don't even understand.
They don't understand
Yeah.
it. And when you talk about all these things, it becomes so overwhelming that they just want to shut down because
Yeah,
it's
they're like,
too
what?
much. It's like,
what are you talking about?
how can I even implement that into my life?
I
And
like the what did you say? Simple. It was 3 S's.
Sustainable.
Sustainable.
Yes.
I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, simple, sustainable, and oh shit,
Simple, sustainable was 3 S's. You learned it from a buddy of yours. It'll come back.
sensible.
Sensible.
So
Yeah,
for
simple,
me,
sensible, sustainable.
for me, we've been apex creatures for around 2.8 million years. And so what I think is, and Phil knows, I just sit here and I'll go watch the carnivore people, the vegan people. I go through the comments and I really go to the comments because statistics said 86% of vegans all go back to eating meat.
Yeah.
And so what are your thoughts on kind of like this attack on meat right now? Like from my understanding is they told us red meat raises our cholesterol is bad for us, but there's really no study that's been out that says that. And we're talking about animal base. And for me, what I've noticed just seeing people feel their best, look their best is sticking to more of an animal based kind of routine. And to me, it's one of the most simplistic ways to eat.
Yeah, I mean, red meat is the ultimate superfood. It's so chock full of
Nutrients.
Yeah, I mean, it's
bioavailable.
It's literally the ultimate food and whole eggs, right? So I eat like, roughly 2 pounds of red meat a day. I eat half a dozen whole eggs a day.
Okay.
I do Greek yogurt. I drink dairy.
Mm-hmm.
All the stuff that's, I mean, if you went in and told a doctor that, he would be like, "How are you still alive?" But when I actually get my blood work done and it comes back, it's mind blowing because it's pristine. Like the last time I got it done, the doctor was like, "I've never seen cholesterol this good." So as long as you're actually eating clean, single, whole, nutritiously, sound food, you're going to be gold. It's when you add in, it's when you take those foods and you add the sugar and all the other stuff into it that makes it bad. And then the meat and the eggs and the dairy gets, takes the blame for it.
Yeah.
But the sugar and the junk food never does.
Yeah.
You don't see that getting demonized anywhere except for
Correct.
in the community of us who are trying to tell people not to eat it.
Did you know, by the way, that there are a handful of food products here in the country that are actually banned in other countries?
Oh yeah.
Can you pull that up, Matt? There's certain like, and my wife is getting way more conscious of what she's feeding my 11-year-old and my 5-year-old now, because she's starting to see what's happening. Right. I took my wife to Italy last year. We went to the Amalfi Coast. Okay. We ate what we wanted. We walked a lot. I worked out obviously wherever there was a gym in the hotel. But the fact of the matter is, we came back 10 pounds lighter. Yeah. In most countries, I want you to know this because we just experienced this in Mexico. It's the food is there, it's fresh. And if they don't get rid of it that same day, they toss it.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
The food here is in a freezer most of the time.
Yeah.
We're just
right. And I'm done. Like, I'm going to spend the second half of my life just staying away from all that, man. I really am. I truly am. These are some of the U.S. foods that are banned in other countries. Watch this. Some wild ones like, there's a Mountain Dew, Skittles.
Well, I mean,
Right.
the most,
Mountain Dew's obvious,
even
bro.
if you look at a lot of the meat products that people even think that they're eating good meat, it's like you should be sourcing your meat from local butchers.
that was That
What?
was actually
Fruit Loops.
that was actually a topic when we were eating in Mexico. Well, they ordered some chicken wings, right? Our
Yeah,
wives ordered some
yeah.
buffalo wings,
Yeah.
and they were like, look how small it is. And I was like, well, yeah, because it's from
It's
a real
real
chicken. There's
chicken.
no-
Yeah.
and
It
I
was
was
a
like, look at how real it is. I pulled a feather off of it still, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're down in Mexico all the time too.
San Carlos. I'm
Yeah.
from there, by the way. I grew up in Guaymas, which is 30 minutes outside of San Carlos.
Yeah, I freaking love it down there.
Yeah.
And it's what you're saying, similar to going over to Europe or like you were talking about in Italy, right?
Yep.
It's
fresh.
you can eat things that you would never want to eat here in the States. You can eat it there. There's no bloat, there's no inflammation. You
Yep.
feel fine.
Mhm.
You're not bogged down. You don't wake up the next morning with stomach issues. So it's just really it's embarrassing, honestly, to be such, to kind of be the face of the world in terms of, I don't want to say being elite, but it was like at one time America thrived and everyone wanted a piece of it. And now you see some of the actors and actresses who would come in from other countries and work with me. The first thing they would say is there anywhere here I can get halfway decent food? And because they just
Yes.
hate eating our food here. And this was like when I was first getting into Hollywood. I remember hearing this a lot, and I didn't really know everything I know now. So it was really eye-opening for me hearing so much of that. Now it's like, man.
It's true. I went to Dubai for 3 weeks and I came back and I couldn't eat for 2 or 3 days because you can taste the chemicals in the food.
Yes.
I mean, look how many war bombs you just showed us that are banned in America. I think what helped me when I went through my transformation, I was at 235, 240, dropped down to about 190. But I decided to go to war. I looked at myself as third person, like, okay, Phil, this is who you are. This is what's attacking you. I'm going to attack this body and what it's attacking it. And war just meant do a reset. So 24-hour fast. What am I eating? What do I need to stop eating? And then I basically had a trainer who I told, we're no longer counting anymore. I need you to go to war with my body. So there's no counting any reps. There's no, I don't want to even know what we're doing for the day. Just break me down and rebuild me. And sure enough, my mindset, going back to what you said, your mindset, my mind shifted to a point where I was running away from pain to I was searching for pain.
Yeah.
Because pain was the only thing that was healing me at the time.
What's that? It's that it's that stimulus, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to escape the hard stuff, but the hard stuff is what makes the body adapt. When you're in a caloric deficit, when you're in a caloric surplus, we're in the gym and you're pushing yourself past the pain point. Like all these things are stimulus that force your body to adapt. The cold plunge, the heat, all of that is where the magic happens. But because it's so uncomfortable, people shy away from it. When it hurts, they stop. And that's, it's one of the things I like to share with the people I work with. And when we do our fitness seminars or the group fitness before the seminars, it's almost like people they're brainwashed to think a certain way, obviously, because all the society is. It's
programming. Yeah.
Mediocre ass thinking.
Yeah.
And when you have these people come in, it's like you talk to them and you give them permission to go somewhere they've never been. And once you actually go there, you can never go backwards because now you know where you can actually go.
100%.
And that's the beauty of it. Like when I get in the gym to train with people, or some people always want to train with me, when I'm able to get someone in with me, it's a whole nother world. Because I go in there and I have fun and I enjoy it. I'm serious as hell. Like you'd never know that I was in there having fun because I'm so serious about it. But I love the mental aspect of pushing yourself to a place that it's not normal to go to. And then when I'm training with somebody and I see you suffering, it's like there's this happiness,
this
like
sick
of
joy.
yeah, it's like
There's a sick joy about
I love it because I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
Your pain, your suffering actually pushes me harder.
It's a euphoric feeling. Right?
Yeah, and then it's like you just have this amazing session together, and then afterwards, you kind of debrief and talk about everything you went through, and it's like their mind is just blown because they would have never done that on their own.
Well, I ask people this all the time, by the way, because most people don't want to go to the gym and work out, for at least an hour, right? But then I ask them, when was the last time you went to, you got the hardest part of going to the gym is what? Going to the gym, right?
Oh, yeah.
When was the last time that you got out of a workout and you regretted it. You get what I'm saying? That I don't think that's ever happened in the history of human beings.
No.
You get right? Like you start to get all this hormone cocktail of just the good stuff, the dopamine and the serotonin, and you start to get flushed, and then you begin to feel grateful about all kinds of things in life, right? Do you go through that yourself?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Well, I mean, even something as simple as getting up in the morning and going for a walk.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If you get up in the morning and go for a walk versus getting up in the morning, getting a cup of coffee, sitting on the couch and watching the news, for me, what I try and get my clients to do, and it's not even, I mean, obviously walking is a great tool for fat loss and exercise, but your mind just lights up when you go out on a walk and you put the right playlist in. I'm stopping all the time to take voice notes because my brain is just spinning. It's like the creative aspect of what's going on in my brain is something that would have never happened if I didn't go on that walk.
Some people call that a walking meditation, by the way.
And then you get those downloads,
Yeah,
right?
you get those downloads.
Yeah, and it's like if you look at like wake up in the morning, someone's I've seen some studies where they compare brains. Two people wake up at the same time. One goes for a walk, one sits on the couch. The brain activity is insanely different from going out and walking. And
absolutely.
But I have some of the most meditative, creative conversations with myself when I'm out walking.
Well, it's not necessarily yourself, right? Especially if you put a playlist on. So I did 75 hard. I completed 75
You got
hard.
a six-pack during that time.
Yeah. So, and it was something that, and it goes back to the sustainability of it, right? In my opinion, doing that every single day, I don't think anybody can do, that type of like discipline.
Except Andy Frisella.
Yeah, except that. But even
he's still on 75 hard, by the way.
yeah, but even at that aspect,
he's
but
the exception to the rule.
It does what you said, right? It takes you to a place you've never been before. And once you've gone there, you can't go back. Yeah. So I did 75 hard. I stopped. I gained my weight back. I was going to do it again. And I was like, but I'm just going to get the same results because there's an end goal, right?
Yep.
You completed the task. And so I was like, I just need to make this a lifestyle. And then I started going with him. But it starts with just that simple walk. And when I was doing 75 hard, I started doing my outdoor walk as one of my workouts. And it got to the point later on, like towards the end of it, where I would put my headphones in and I would forget to push play on my playlist. And I would just walk.
Yeah.
But then I would hear and I would just start having conversations, what I thought was myself, but ultimately was with God. Right? Because God's language is silence. Right? And so as you're walking in silence and just in nature, like you can just you just have that time to just be present and be aware. Yeah. And walking, hiking, even riding a bike outdoors, like all that stuff is so beneficial to life. That's how you create that sustainability, right? Is just start with that one little thing of just getting up and going for a walk instead of sitting on the couch and watching coffee.
Well, most people, I like Alex Hormozi's quote, and he said, the fulfillment that people are looking for is in the work that they're neglecting.
Oof,
right? And
hold on, we haven't used the button.
I got you.
Ooh. It goes.
I wanted to be the first one today.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
But you think about that, and we've been so conditioned to escape everything in our American society. And you look across the world in Eastern cultures, it's not like that, right? So this escapism is a privilege here, right? You can't, in a lot of cultures, you can't just sit down and watch TV all day. You can't, people are not making the wages to even survive in most of these cultures. And for me, every time that I've done the work that I'm supposed to do, whether it be wake up, do the cold plunge, do the walk, do anything, I feel so much more fulfilled and grateful, not only just to serve myself, but if I haven't served myself, then I'm not going to be able to show up and serve others. And I will try, but I know that I won't be able to give them 100%.
I got a couple things for him. Back to the military background, right? Yeah. One of my dreams was to serve. I wanted to actually serve in the Navy, right? Like what I wanted to do was I either wanted to join the Navy, become a defensive attorney, real estate investor, or a police officer. And it's funny because I took the physical test to become a police officer here at South Mountain, down at that area there, and passed with flying colors. And then they said, all right, buddy. At that time, they were like, we're going to start you off at like $17.85 an hour, but you can work all the overtime you want, right? I said, man, that doesn't sound, I'm already making more than that right now, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do that for now, okay? Then I'm like, okay, I'm going to become a Navy SEAL. Then I started training to become a Navy SEAL. I started doing the swimming and the pull-ups and the everything that, to pass, right, the physical aspect of it. And then I found out, you go in as I think it was like an E1 or something, or, you got to work your way up. And then the pay wasn't exactly what it needed to be at that time either, right?
Yep.
So then I took my shot at real estate, and then that's how my entrepreneur, journey started. And here we are, over a decade later. But I really respect that about you. I respect anyone who's actually served this country, right? Because I feel like most people that serve the military, there's a sense of patriotism, right?
Yeah.
And I believe that we have demonized the word patriotism. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Right?
It's
you're what? Patriotism? Yeah. You're proud to be an American? Oh, that's racist.
Yeah.
Right?
What do you mean you can't, I can't fly my flag in front of my house or on my truck?
I don't get it.
Wild.
I don't get it. And it's like, it just makes no sense to me how soft we've got. Maybe it's the food and us being obese that has gotten us out of this mindset of, hey, we're supposed to be proud of this country. We're supposed to protect this country. I got daughters that are going to grow up in this country, right? Of course, I'm rooting for us to win. And who is us, right? This country. You know what I mean? And then you see some of the stuff on my social, and then I get attacked from all kinds of different places because I want this country to thrive. I want this country to be the country that it was when I came to this country as an illegal immigrant back in 1996 for the second time, right? I remember in 1996, it was a different world than what it is today, Yeah. Back then, everybody was proud to be an American.
Yeah.
Everybody was proud to, to fly the flag. Now, it's not like that anymore. It's not like that anymore. And I don't get it because, a lot of people in the world are like, oh, America, it's racist, but yet we're a melting pot. We have the most, the most different types of
You would never fly another flag in another country. Like you would never fly an American flag.
You fly an American flag in Iran and watch what happens. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So back to your military background, first and foremost, thank you, brother, for your service.
Yes.
Right? Wanted to thank you for that. Man, I read in your profile that you went through a season of dealing with some PTSD, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Talk to me about that, because I feel that, that's something that a lot of military people deal with when they're transitioning back into the civilian world, but they don't talk about it as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't talk about it as much. What kind of struggles are our military people facing when dealing with PTSD?
Well, when you're in the military, you live by structure and you live by mission. So it's like when you wake up every day, you pretty much know what your day consists of. You get paid every 2 weeks. You got insurance. Like all this stuff is like, everything is just automatic. So you're kind of on cruise control, not really thinking about having to deal with things that we do as civilians,
like paying the electricity bill.
Yeah, just all the simple shit. And when you get out, like you're craving to get out of the military because whatever the reason is, bad leadership, or you want to just go on with life and do something amazing. But then you get thrust into it, and you realize that one big thing is, when you're trying to get a job, most companies, most HR, they don't know how to read a veteran's resume. They just see a bunch of different language on there, which a lot of times, if you were to be able to understand it, it would be very applicable to the job they're hiring for. And sometimes, you might be even more qualified than what they want, but because they don't even know what they're looking at, it's a bad thing. So you're trying to figure out where you fit now. And all these little nuances that you didn't think about before are now kicking in. And, for me, when I came back, I had this transition plan that just didn't work. And I was trying to find trying to find work, and it just didn't pan out the way I had hoped for. One of the reasons is because I kept trying to use my resume to get hired, and no one could understand it. The questions that I would get off of it were, irritating. It was almost like you get talked to like you're condescending. The selfishness, you're coming back, you go to Subway, and it's like just how ungrateful people are for the simple stuff. The things that we take for granted so much. I'm like, this is mind blowing. But also on top of that is now you have to redefine what your mission is. You have to redefine what your purpose is. And a lot of people, that's the biggest part, is they can't redefine what that is. What am I living for right now? What is the end goal here? Where am I going? Why, like, how can I take my mind and what I've been doing and apply that into this civilian world? And that's the biggest challenge, which creates the depression and gets you into all these different vices. But then obviously when you served in a theater of combat, you go through things that will live in your head every day for the rest of your life. And you have to now learn how to deal with those demons that will kick in at the most inopportune time. And knowing what I know now, I probably would have dealt with things differently, but I went down this path of really trying to understand how to fix my demons. And I went through all these different PTSD modalities, and getting wires hooked up and electrodes, and like I tried everything. In November of 2022, I did the stellate ganglion block treatment, which is in the C4 of your neck. It's like a nerve block. They're a nerve bundle. They go in, they inject anesthetic in there, it kind of opens it up. It was like this. If you had something that's been vacuum sealed, it's like just really tight and compact and shrunken, and you open it up and it just it breathes and it expands. I had that sensation go across my entire body, and there was an involuntary response of I just started crying. And when I woke up the next morning, I just felt like this huge weight was lifted off my shoulders. But even in that type of therapy there, you still have, it's like now you have to do a little bit of therapy because, okay, yeah, that's gone now, but you still have those habits of the way you've dealt with everything, which aren't conducive to success and moving forward, because you're kind of warped in your thinking about, you're kind of bitter and you're negative and angry. And, but I guess if there's any advice that I can give to anyone right now who might be listening to this struggling, is to try and find a really solid group of people who are high performers, who are thinking about life in such a different way, where they're just trying to self-develop and self-educate and just do all the things that take you outside of the societal norm of thinking. If I would have had that group of people around me, that could have been my actual treatment. Because what happens is we end up being in this victim, like kind of adopting this victim mentality, and you can only play on that so long before people just don't want to be around you. And now they don't want to be around you, which makes you even more depressed, which gets you drinking more and doing more drugs, and then you commit suicide. From 2020 to right now, I've lost over 20 friends to suicide.
Jeez.
And it goes back to
military, all military?
Military, yeah.
Wow.
And it's like, the purpose here, and then the lack of purpose, the inability to find purpose, and then to see what's happening to the country, 2020 was insane.
Yeah.
Like I struggled in 2020 massively watching what was happening to this country.
Yeah.
So I my whole thought process now is different being in the group that I'm in with the Elliott Group, because we're all like, if you're negative there, dude, you will get annihilated by someone.
You're gone.
You can't hide.
You can't think negatively. You can't talk negatively, or you will not be there. You don't belong. And it's been such an eye-opening experience, because every time that old you tries to pull you back, you have a whole team that's pulling you forward. And a lot of times that's what
which is
as veterans, we need that camaraderie. We need that team dynamic to help pull you out of it. You to have someone to talk to who you can relate to in some degree, whether they've been through the shit or not, or someone who's just literally on a path that you want to go, that you want to be on, you know, what Andy's accomplishing and things like that. But it's like, dude, all we do is we work out, we read, we're watching, podcasts, listening to like everything we're doing is based around trying to become the most elite versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think back now to all the stuff that I tried, and I'm like, what it really could have came down to is the change in the way you think, like that process of not thinking in the victim mentality, not thinking about everything so negatively, not being depressed all the time, not being so upset, switching that mindset to, all right, let me open a book that's going to give me something good, breathe a little bit of life into me and make me think a little bit differently. Let me go on a hike, you know. So I don't know, man, it's when I say I'm in this live autopsy phase, I'm still living in it right now.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, and I want to be able to help share as much of that as I can with veterans. So that's some of the future work that
absolutely
Andy and I are actually talking about with veterans and military, with what we're doing in fitness and stuff.
I got a
Thank
question.
you for sharing that.
Yeah. You know what it sounds like? It sounds like our military personnel, they kind of deal with a very similar thing that celebrities that, you know, kind of just go past their prime, or athletes that go, you know, past their prime. It sounds like our military personnel begins to deal with what you would consider an identity crisis.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Identity, like
who am I? Like who am I?
Yeah.
The person I thought I was, I am not that person here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it, you know, that right there, if hopefully that's helpful to some people, is it's okay. I think we all go through our own identity crisis at some point of our lives, right?
All of us.
Absolutely.
All of us.
And it is the victimhood, you know, because you do start to victimize, and you do start to stay to yourself. You know, you were in the military, I was incarcerated. So it's like, when I came out, I wanted everybody to feel my pain, know what I went through, all these things. And ultimately, there was just a day where you have to accept that people don't need to relate to your pain. But there was also a day where I said, I've just been sitting here not growing, and I've been acting like a bitch, honestly.
Yeah.
And so it was getting around like-minded people to lift you up. And so for the people that are listening, I do think that's the most important thing when you are struggling, is getting around the right people, the people that will pour life into you, love into you, get you moving, telling you, hey, you're not your best self, but you can become your best self.
Yeah. And it also goes into you're living in that low frequency state, which is toxic for your body in every possible way.
100%.
Yeah.
You elevate your frequency, you start thinking differently, your body changes. You start you want to start doing all the right things. You want to start listening to all the right things.
Listening to the right music, eating the right foods, right? Yeah, absolutely. Talk to me about your journey in Hollywood. How long were you there?
Well, yeah. So I was gonna try to transition to that, because you mentioned something too. So coming out was going to Subway looking for a job was something that you did, or you were just referencing that? And then how did you land into?
I referenced that because I remember being at Subway very early on, coming back, and I just remember I walk in, I'm gonna get a sub, I'm waiting in line, and the guy working behind the counter is an asshole. The lady ordering the food is an asshole. And it's like they're just battling back and forth. It's like the guy's not giving her enough pickles. He's being that, like, I'm like, what? This is like a clown show right here. Like,
by the way,
and then you land in Hollywood.
Respectfully, right? The reason why I follow less than 400 people on my social media is because Instagram and social media in general has also become a clown show. It's become a circus.
Oh yeah.
It's become a circus, right? So I think that we're starting to see society change, not for the better. You know, what you saw at Subway is what we're beginning to see now at mass scale across, you know, across this country for sure, because, you know, most of the stuff we see on social is just, you know, it's local, it's in this country for the most part, right? But I'm beginning to see that now, you know, I'm beginning to see a lot of that now on social. And I've been on social since 2013. And I remember when, again, I always say this, I remember when back then social was to connect with friends and family and to post pictures of food, right? Like, you know what I mean? Now
So it's food born.
it's like, now it's a matter of like, you know, who has the shiniest car
That's real
or
porn.
the biggest jet, right? It's almost become counterproductive, you know, especially for people that are looking to find themselves, right? Because if they are on the platform, any type of social media platform, and they're constantly comparing themselves to the next person, right? Like if, let's just say an obese person is constantly comparing themselves to you, how is that person going to feel every day, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it goes back to also too is like, it's the first time I've really ever been in this whole social media virality type place.
Yeah.
And you realize, man, like, how do you have this much time to just be on everyone's social media hating? And you know, for me, I would like everyone to like me because I'm just a neutral guy. I just want to do good for people. I want to do good for myself, and I want to share my love of fitness and, you know, and how it saved my life. But people just aren't having it, man. And I saw this.
Wait, what are they having? What are they having?
It's like your spirit irritates their demons, and and it's like so toxic. You're like, how can you hate? How can I trigger you that much by the shorts I wear?
Yeah,
brother.
It's the aura. It's the aura because they can feel you. People don't like people that say that they're happy.
Yeah.
Well, if you say you're happy, you love your life, you love the people you're on. I tell people all the time, I'm the happiest man in the world. Even when I have a bad day, a bad moment, and they're like, "How could you be the happiest man in the world?" It's like disgusting.
Well, it's also perspective too, because you know how bad it could be. Like your worst day, and it's kind of cliche saying it, but your worst day is like the life someone would dream to have.
Right.
Yeah.
Me being over in Iraq, or me traveling the country while I'm in the military, you get so much cultural perspective, right? And then you come home and you're just so grateful to be back home because you realize how bad it could be. There was this one story, these two little girls and their father, this one little shack in Baghdad. I used to, you know, pass it all the time. And the dad would be in the backyard skinning I don't know, the sheep or the goats, whatever it was. He'd toss the skins over the fence. The 10-year-old daughter, 11-year-old daughter would clean the skins. And then there was like a 6-year-old daughter-ish who would be over at the fire barrel making the bread. And it's like, mind you, they have water bottles on their feet strung together for shoes. And I stopped one day at the PX and got some shoes and dropped them off to him one day. You'd have thought it was like Christmas, like they won the lottery, just something so simple. And that's why, you know, for my daughters, I want to be a good example for them. I want to show them that, you know, what a good man looks like. And when you grow up and you're ready to be in a relationship, you know, you got to look for someone good, who's got a good spirit and got a good heart, and who's going to take care of people and, you know, help lift people up. And that's, I don't know, man, I just, it really reminds me constantly every day of me trying to just always be the best I can be, because if we all can do something individually to change someone's life, it's a pay it forward type deal.
We've become the minority collectively, right? Even though we're like, I was born in Mexico. You're an American. You were born here. I get it. You were born here, right? But your background is, what is it?
Parents are from Haiti.
Haiti, and then your background is American, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of a mixed bag. A little Cherokee Indian, some Italian and Irish.
But collectively we become the minority in the sense of what we're doing is not the norm in society today, right? Trying to become the best versions of ourselves. Not trying, but actually being people of principle, being people of core values, keeping our word, right? That these days, I'm telling you, brother, 9 out of 10 people are just not like that anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Back then, I remember, you know, if you think about it, as time progresses, right, in human history, core values, right, have completely gone out the window. if you think about it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why, you know, if we don't have more people that jump on this train, I don't know where we'll be in 20 years.
I think we're in one of the most pivotal times in our country's history right now, especially with this upcoming election. Because if things don't change, I mean,
We can't do another 4 years of this.
I can't
You don't like
imagine
Biden?
what this is going to work.
I'm not allowed to say that, apparently.
Well, you know what I think it is it's two things in my opinion. Is you have, I'll be 30 next month, and you know, my generation, the generation under me, it's more of what can my country do for me instead of what can I do for my country.
Oof.
But then you also look, because the youth are a collective of attitude and beliefs that were shared from their parents. So you can't necessarily, I hear a lot of people that are older and they blame the youth, but it's like, well, you raised them on how to support their country. You raised them with the attitude and beliefs that it was okay to not be a patriot or to expect more from your country than you're willing to give. And so right now, I just see a lot of the youth that want from their country but are not willing to give to their country.
Yeah, it's
People-
that selfish mentality.
You know what? So someone called me yesterday on Instagram.
Mexican?
Nope.
Water hopper.
Nope.
Paisa?
Nope.
Keep shooting them. Keep shooting them.
Nope.
Okay.
They called me a coconut.
Oh, I called myself
Because
that
I'm-
yesterday.
because
Coconut
you know,
water is like the best water you could drink.
No, it's because you're Mexican or brown on the outside,
and then you're
but
white
inside
in the
you're white.
inside. And you know what I'm saying? Me trying to stand up
Can
for
you say
my
coconut one more time?
coconut, yeah. So me trying to me standing up for my belief system, right? It triggers people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It triggers people. You know what I mean? Me telling people to be a good father, it triggers people. Me telling people to be a good husband, it triggers people. That's all I see in the comments.
Yeah,
Like, what's going on?
my wife posted on Instagram last week. She's dealt with some she's just dealt with some anxiety and depression, and
After COVID.
after
Yeah.
2020, right? It put her into an entire. She had
I
social
was so
anxiety.
confused for a second. I was like,
Yeah, she had
You're not
social
allowed to say that
anxiety.
word
I
either.
got you. Yeah.
But she posted on her Instagram the other day about how her opening up the Bible and reading the Bible helped her overcome that anxiety and depression. And we go and look at her messages, and people that she doesn't know just start attacking her. Oh, I'm glad you found a book but that doesn't work. You know, like they just start coming at her, and it's like you said, demons just start coming through the Instagram messages or through the TikTok messages, and it's like, man. And we sat there and we kind of laughed. We were like, telling somebody to open the Bible, look at how many people it triggered. There was more negative comments in there than there was positive comments from people that she doesn't even know.
I believe in the balance of polarity. If you're doing something so good, then something equally as bad is coming after that. If you're building a wall so strong, something equally as strong is trying to penetrate it. So I see it as a blessing. When you have something coming after you, it's like, damn, I'm doing something right.
Yeah,
that's
When
right.
you take a hit in the business, all right, damn, we're doing something right.
Yep.
You get in a lawsuit, damn, I'm doing something right. Right?
Yeah.
And this is a continuous cycle that's going to keep happening in our lives, only because we strive to do better. I mean, we've had people that come to break us down, especially when we're, quote, the positive culture, I guess you want to say. And it's not that it's positive culture, it's that this mind is filled with a lot of information and you're already attacking yourself. I think that they say 80% of our thoughts are negative. So if our thoughts are negative and we're having to combat our own thoughts, we also have to combat other people attacking our thoughts. It's like, look, I'm going to talk to myself in a way that it's going to uplift me because I have a different mountain to climb. I don't know which mountain you're climbing, but I'm not going to carry your luggage up my mountain.
Yeah.
And that's how
I mean, we're in a battle for our mind every day, all day.
So back to
The
Hollywood,
Yeah.
because I really need to know, right?
Yeah.
How long did you live there?
Did you go to a Diddy party?
No.
How long did you live there?
So I got into Hollywood at the end of 2010 with Zac Efron, and then I don't want to say I stepped away from it, but I moved to Vegas in January of 2020 before COVID was a thing. I needed to get out of LA, so I was in New Orleans from 09 to 15. I moved to LA in 15 because the acting stuff started to kick up. The stunt work was going good. I signed on with some big reps out there. And then 2020 was going to be my biggest year acting wise. Oddly, most people don't know, but that last, 2018, 19 into 20, I was phasing out of fitness because things on the acting and stunt side were going so well. And then COVID hit, completely wiped everything out. And when things started to come back online, this is when the identity politics became heavily involved, because some of the things that I was signed on for, now they were recasting as, you know, could be male or female, could be this or that. So it's like, then it's just started to get really weird. So I've been maintaining strategic relationships in the industry of people who I would love to work with and also who want to work with me. But I do love the industry because there's so much good that can come out of it through storytelling.
Yeah.
Let's tell the right stories.
Yeah. What's going on? Everything that's coming out this year, for some reason, it looks like this year and some of last year, all this stuff starts coming out about how corrupted and just sick, you know, some of the stuff that goes on in the celebrity world is, right?
Yeah.
We're starting to see a lot of that. Did you ever experience any of that while you were around there?
Well, I've been propositioned more times than I can count. Some of them are just absolutely disgusting.
Wait, hold on. Proposition, like they made you a proposal to do specific things maybe that weren't like they didn't align with you?
Oh yeah. Yeah, like I mean, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
And like I've been through too much in my life. Hollywood's not changing me.
For sure.
But what I see is like whatever proposition you're going to, like, I don't care what movie you're going to offer me. You could offer me to be the leading role in a movie. I ain't taking your proposition. And this is where this is where a lot of actors and actresses go wrong, because they take that bait. And now what happens is you don't own your career. Someone else does.
Yeah. So you technically sell your soul.
Sell your soul is the best way to put it.
Got it. Now, without being too specific, right, we'll allegedly just discuss what do you think some of the proposals that go on at that level, what do they look like? What do they sound like? How do they come in? You know, like what do they offer?
It's predominantly sexual, obviously. And
so were you
producers, directors?
Were you proposed by like females or men?
Both.
Wow.
Yeah, both. And I honestly more men than
but
women.
Why though? Why would a man? I you know,
it's
they know you're
it's,
not.
It's almost like.
Is it a power thing?
Yeah, it's almost like some of these some of these people in very powerful positions in Hollywood. It's almost like a challenge
because they had it all already.
Because it's like they just think that because of their position, their power,
their money, their
influence, the ability to hire whoever they want. It's like they just think they can do whatever they want to whoever they want to do it to. And it's pretty sickening. And I just wasn't part of that culture. I wasn't interested in going to the parties, right?
Well, maybe that's why you never made it big as an actor.
It's 100% why.
Yeah.
Like,
so it is true then, all this stuff that's coming out.
Yeah. And
hey, if you wear a dress, we'll put you in this movie.
I mean, it really is about all that. You go to the parties, you go to the dinners, all the behind the scenes stuff. There's a lot of shady stuff that happens behind the scenes, which I'm not saying I didn't not go to these parties or these events or things like that for that reason. I'm like, I did my work for the day. Let me go to the gym. Let me do me. Like, I don't have any desire to hang out and drink, because that's not me. Like, I don't care if Justin Bieber wanted me to go to his house. I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter to me. And for these actors and actresses upcoming, they're just so celebrity hungry. They're in it for the wrong reasons, right? For me getting into acting, the only reason that happened, right? I'm good at training. I made massive transformations on very big names, which brought me a lot of notoriety.
I saw that.
Then you get in, then all of a sudden now the directors and producers are interested in you to train them. You develop these relationships with them. And for me, what happened was some of the people who I'm still close with today, they had encouraged me like, hey, you've got a great presence. You've got a good look. Have you ever thought about getting in front of the camera? So after hearing it so much, I got an acting coach. I remember this acting coach I got, he was great, but he pushed me and challenged me to the point where it was like, one day I'm like, dude, I'm going to fucking punch you.
Wow.
Like trying to have me crawl around like a snake, like It goes back to the art of acting, the technique, the craft, all that stuff. It's a real thing. And what ended up happening was it became like another source of therapy for me. I'm like, oh shit, I can use these emotions now that I would never do anything with and turn them into something worthwhile for some character or movie or show or whatever. And I really started to enjoy that. And then the stunt work. But a lot of people are just in it for the fame and the money. And that was never me.
And I don't think it'll ever stop, because like you said no to a lot of to everything that was
proposals.
The proposals, but there's 100 other people that are willing to say yes right away.
Oh, there's
an
endless line of people who will say yes to all that. And it'll forever be that.
Would this be a very uncommon proposal? Ready? I'm going to give you a role in this movie, but I'm going to bend you over the desk. Would that be common?
Yeah.
That's PG-13.
That's not.
And honestly, and a lot of times it would be in like very explicit language, like,
wow,
like just straight up.
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay, get out of here.
Is that common language? Does everybody just understand that that's like a thing? Like you just know if that person got a role that they had to step inside of a room to get that.
There's so much talk about that right now. By the way,
in like the close circles, there would be probably conversation or gossip, knowing that's really what it was, but there would never truly be confirmation of it.
Got it. If you know, you know, right?
Yeah.
I saw that some of your most famous clients, Zac Efron, right? Is that how you pronounce his last name? Efron?
Yeah. What do you remember? What movie was?
I've seen that dude get super shredded.
The one with The Rock.
So I worked with Zach up and just
when he did Baywatch or what? Because he was shredded
before Baywatch.
Have you seen him in Iron Claw?
Oh, Iron Claw was crazy.
No, bro, but you can put your tongue back in your mouth.
One of the transformations that I like, just because I think I've heard you talk about how disciplined he was J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
Is that how you? Yeah. That's his name, right? But also just the age and determination.
Well, he's a rare breed. You know what I mean? He's just one of the good ones.
Yeah.
He's got integrity. He's got morals. He loves his family.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like he works, and outside of work, his family is everything to him.
Mm-hmm.
When he's done with a project, he'll go on vacation with his family.
Mm-hmm.
That's so uncommon, though, in the Hollywood world, right?
Yeah, very.
That's so uncommon.
Very.
Okay, The Rock, another one of your famous clients, right? What was it like working with him? I grew up watching him as a wrestler, and I've seen his evolution, right?
Yeah.
Like, in my opinion, he kind of put wrestling on the map at a bigger scale.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because before The Rock, there was like Bret the Hitman Hart, Shawn Michaels, and the Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, all these guys, Andre the Giant. But when The Rock came in, he brought a different entertainment.
He left a really important one out that I know Brooklyn wants to say. So I'll say it for him. Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Stone Cold. I love that dude. I was just watching his documentary the other day, by the way. WWE.
Don't worry, I got you, Brooklyn.
Legend or something. Right. Love that dude. He had a transition and identity crisis he went through also, right?
Yeah.
But what was it like working with The Rock? Because it just looks like that dude is kind of a workaholic. Like he's a machine.
Yeah, I really enjoyed working with him. It was almost just like we were training partners. And
you guys are kind of built the same.
Yeah, and at the time I was much bigger. Like this was the beginning of my whole Hollywood stuff, and it was right when I was getting into it. I was still competing. My last show was in 2011. I won the Greater Gulf States super heavyweight, so I was a big dude.
Wow. Yeah.
And but the first, like, Rock likes to train in gyms like me, the old dirty dungeons. Walk in, smells like blood and armpit. But that he actually was in, before we met, he came into the gym that I train at. He was on the elliptical. As I was leaving, he was warming up. And I didn't know if he knew who I was, but he had his headphones on. I didn't want to stop and bother him, but I was like, hey, if whenever you're ready to train, I'm like, let me know. And he gave me the dirtiest look and like flipped me off, and I was like, all right. Well,
what did you look like? What did you look like during that time, and what did he look like?
I mean, he was big and I was big. We were both big.
Okay.
So
he's like, why
he's
would
still wrestling at that time, right? For the most part.
It was his comeback to WWE.
Got it.
Got it.
So I'm like, all right, well, I'm the cast trainer for this movie. I guess I'm not training him.
Yeah.
So I just went home. And then later that night, I got a text from him. Apologize. He's like,
how do you get your number?
Probably from production.
Yeah.
Somehow my name must have came up somewhere. So he shot me a text, and then we were going back and forth, and we started training the next day. And then every night before he was racking out, or when he was closing out, I would write out the workout for the next day, so he knew kind of what we were going to do. We'd meet there, we'd kind of warm up and go through what we were going to do. We'd throw headphones on, and then it was just more of like training partners, right? Give them a 2, a 5, this many more reps, or we're just head nod. I mean, superset. We just kind of when you're cut from the same cloth, you speak the same language.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't need to say much.
Yeah.
So we just trained really hard, and he had some shoulder issues. I brought him through some different training stuff that helped the shoulders a little bit. So, but at the end of the day, super cool guy, like really, really nice guy. Unfortunately, I lost some respect for him over the years as he got more into politics, which I wish he would have stayed out of.
I think a lot of people did.
That was my turn. I was so turned off. It was like one of your heroes.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, dude, like, did you sell out? You know what I mean? Did you sell? Like, why did you do this? But I don't know if you recently saw he's making his way back to the other side.
Yeah.
Now. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I did.
Right.
Well, here's the thing, right? In Hollywood, you have your domestic, productions, right? All the stuff that airs in America. What everyone ultimately wants to have part of is the Chinese market. It's very hard to get your films into the Chinese market.
We know Joe has some pull in the Chinese market, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like a game of chess. When you actually have share of that market, then now it's like everything you do is based on strategy.
Yeah.
Even at the detriment of your own country, which is what I don't like. And that's what a lot of these guys do. For the money and for their platform.
Did you ever reach out to him?
No.
After when he did that in 2020?
No.
No. It was like, come on, bro.
I don't really, honestly, except for a select few producers, directors, a couple actors, I really just have kind of went in my own direction, kind of doing my own thing.
Walked
right now.
off into the sunset.
Yeah, and I'm being contacted now for some different movie stuff, which is cool.
Yeah,
and that's been the whole goal of all this, being strategic about everything. Because I still want to do the acting. I still want to be involved in the industry, but I just want to do it in the right way. I don't want to just have to, like before, when you're in that industry, you got to hustle for every single job.
And you got to earn it. You got to earn your way through, right?
And it gets exhausting because it's like, man, how much ass do I have to kiss?
Yeah.
And but now to have a body of work, to have representation still, and then to have people who are seeking me out now, wanting to be a part of their project, and me being in the new space I'm in, and I don't have to rely on that anymore. It's a great feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good for you, brother.
I feel like you would do quite well actually acting. I would watch a movie.
I'm sitting here looking at him, and the only thing I can think about
Expendables or something. You know what I mean?
we should have Zady wear a bald cap.
Yeah.
And do some sort of ad with him, because he kind of reminds. If you shave Zady and you put a ball cap on him, they have the same
Zady's he's the guy up. He's 5'2".
Yeah. He's 5'3".
Yeah. He'll tell you he's 5'3", but he's 5'2". Last question in regards to the whole Hollywood thing. Like, what was your most? What was the project that you just had? Like, you just enjoyed the most doing out in Hollywood? What was that?
Well, there were a couple of them. There were one I enjoyed. I played the refugee Terminator in Terminator Genesis, which is super cool. Yeah. Met Arnold. Remember growing up watching the Terminator movies.
Was he still kind of jacked when you met him?
Nah, not really.
No.
But that was cool. I died pretty early in the movie. The American
I'm gonna have
Heist,
to watch it now.
Yeah, I mean it's like early on, but
yeah.
American Heist with Hayden Christensen, Adrian Brody, I had fun doing. I did a TV show called The Rookie. I'm this cracked out PCP guy, tears a church up.
That's like a cop show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was fun. I never really had the big breakout role. 2020 would have been the first
How'd you
one.
play someone cracked out with the body that you have?
I mean, they made me look like shit.
Oh, okay.
I ate a bunch of bad food before I went
Got
in,
you.
kind of create some inflammation.
I'm like, you're the
some
most
water weight.
jacked crackhead I would ever run into.
I would hate to.
I would give you my money.
Yeah.
Right? Brother, last question. What's next for Mr. Aaron Williamson?
That's a great question that I honestly can't even answer right now.
You're just enjoying the process, enjoying the season.
I'm enjoying the ride that I'm on.
Yeah.
I'm self-developing every day. I'm starting to work on my brand a little bit more. You know, these are all things I've never really focused on. I went military, entertainment. Now I'm in business for the first time.
For sure.
Very different world.
Mm-hmm.
You have to approach things a little more strategically. But I think from a fitness perspective, what I'm able to do with Andy, because of the platform and all the resources, will be massive.
Absolutely.
And that's the ultimate plan, is to do something with fitness that I don't want to say has never been done, but just to really do something unique and meaningful. I did a video back in Hollywood about 8 years ago, and I said in that video, I want to achieve something that's never been done. I thought that was going to be in Hollywood. Here it is with the Elliott Group,
the business world.
Yeah, in a place called Fountain Hills that I've never even heard of. So with a guy who does sales training.
Yeah,
I mean,
wild, right?
I'm the most unlikely place with the most unlikely people at the most unlikely time.
And you feel right at home.
I'm right where I belong.
By the way, do you guys live together?
No. I mean, we're down the street from each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've been watching your stories, and you're cold plunging every day over there, and you're drinking a little coffee afterwards, right?
Yeah, we kind of do like a little morning meeting. So we usually get there about depending on his first meeting, we'll start either 5 or 6. We'll plunge, and then get in the hot tub, kind of have a little meeting, drink coffee.
What temperature is that plunge at?
It's at 45.
Got it. So Brad, you know Brad very well. Bradley.
Yeah.
Brad and I bought our plunges at the same time. We held each other accountable from April of 2023 all the way to December of 2023. Right. We were like, okay, I'm in. Let's go. Right. And then I saw that Andy Frisella. I asked Andy. I said, hey bro, what temperature is your plunge at? He said 38.5. I was like, I go, all right. Remember that? I dropped it all the way to 38.5. And then I'm like, all right, Brad, you got to drop yours to 38.5. And he goes, why in the world would I do that? I said, well, Andy Frisella has it at 38.5. So I figure we should have it at 38.5. And he says, look, dude, right? He's like, right. Look, bro, there's a lot of things Andy does that I just will not do. And he goes, I'm doing this. He goes, I'm doing this for my health. And scientifically, it's proven that at 50 degrees, 3 to 6 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week, you get what you need out of it. So I'm not dropping it to 38.5, right? So at 46, you're at 46?
His is at 46. Mine at my house is at 50.
Got it.
We're about to drop Andy's down to, I think, 39.
Yeah.
But it's the reason why we do it. Obviously, you know how it is when you get out, you feel good.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
But science will say you only need 7 minutes a week or at whatever temperature. But it's more about the mental hardening for me.
That's right.
The challenge of doing something that you don't want to do every day for me is why I do it.
Especially first thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning. When I started doing it in February, I mean,
you just started this year?
Yeah, just like I had plunge before, but not routinely.
Consistently.
Yeah. Now it's every morning. And I remember when I first started it, it's always easier to do it with somebody else. But I mean, I live alone. It's I get up at 3:30. I'm out to the plunge at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be 30 something degrees.
Still cold, yeah.
Raining.
Yeah.
And now you're going to get in a plunge. It's like, I mean, you'd have this mental battle with yourself, like just trying to make excuses why you don't want to go in it.
I did it today because you were going to be on the show, right? I don't know if I would have done it today. You know what I mean? But I did it today because you were going to be on the show. I'm like, I got to plunge. I got to be, I got to be good. It gives you that little edge, right? Yeah. Gary Brecka told me this June 15th of 2023 because I asked him, I said, hey, where do I got to be as far as the plunge goes? And he goes 48 to 50 degrees, 3 to 6 minutes, 12 to 15 minutes per week total.
Yeah.
That is, according to Gary Brecka, that's his recommendation.
My question to that though is like, is that just for like your standard 9 to 5 working that doesn't have compounding challenges that they work with on a daily basis?
I don't think a lot of 9 to 5 people are in the plunge.
So then it's
bro.
ultimately just for
I think it's for
entrepreneurs
the
and
people that
business
have
owners,
plunges.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
No, really, right?
Yeah.
Like the 9 to 5 people. And by the way, I have nothing against people demonize the whole, working class, right? The 9 to 5 people. I used to be that way too, but I've gotten away from that because I've seen my father-in-law work for the city of Phoenix for 40 plus years and be a great father and be a great husband and be a great grandfather. And I'm like, this dude might not have a business, but this dude has more than a person with a business would have. You know what I mean? So I no longer demonize the working class, right? But most of the working class will not do cold plunges. That's for sure. It's probably less than 1% of America that are doing cold plunges.
Yeah, I
if you
mean,
think about
it's a lot of people just think it's stupid.
Yeah.
Like, why
For
do,
sure.
why
They're
would-
actually making like a mockery out of it throughout social now, right?
Yeah.
It's funny, but
They can do for anything hard.
Yeah.
Anything hard is demonized.
absolutely. I'm the same way. I get that hard part out of the way, first part of my day, and then the rest of the day is just downhill coasting. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, I mean, once you get in it, you're in it. And
The
when
first minute's the toughest for sure.
and then when you get out, you're like, oh, I'm so glad I did that. Like,
Yeah.
it literally sets you up for.
You do completely like, so what I do is I get in there, it's about 4 minutes exactly, because I play the same song every single time.
Yeah.
Right. And at the end, and I do breath work while I'm in there, right? Box breathing specifically. At the end, on my last like couple seconds, I completely take a dip. I completely immerse myself down, and that feels even better. When do you completely go underneath or no?
I do at home. I've been wearing
The tape and stuff.
well, we throw on the headphones at
Yeah, I
Andy's.
saw that. What is that? What are you playing on there when you're doing the plunge?
I mean, just whatever,
music, podcast, whatever.
Yeah, whatever motivational stuff that
Okay.
kind of.
Does the
keeps you
tape on the
grounded.
nose actually like help?
Yeah. Oh, I've been wearing nose.
Because I have
tape.
the mouth one. I don't have the nose
Yeah,
one.
I've been wearing nose tape since the early 2000s. I've got a deviated
Mm.
septum.
Yeah.
Same.
I got some I came back from Iraq with some respiratory issues. So the compound effect of deviated septum and that, I've been trying to find
Yeah,
the right.
clears it up a little bit, right?
Man, hostage tape is the reason why I love it so much is because it's the only one I've used that will actually stay on while I work out.
Mm.
And that's a big thing for me because and you get the people in the comments saying, well, he's working out wearing the nose tape, but why is he breathing out of his mouth? Well, I don't care who you are. If I'm bringing you into a hard set, you're breathing out of your mouth.
You're gonna try to breathe out any orifice you can, right?
Any hole.
But
A
when
little
you
bit
get
of air
off-
through the ears.
Yeah, when you get off and you're trying to recover, and you
Yeah.
can get that deep breath. I mean, your recovery is much quicker than not having it on.
Absolutely. Well, brother, first and foremost, I just want to say thank you so much for being on the show today. We absolutely respect and honor who you are and what you're doing. We're going to have a round 2, God willing, in the near future.
Yeah.
Shirtless,
Shirtless.
all of us.
Yep.
So let's hold ourselves accountable, right? And
Take your shirt off, Garret.
and brother, we're going to continue to keep an eye on your journey, no matter where it goes. You know what I mean? So God bless you and thank you for being on
I
the show.
appreciate it. God bless you guys. I feel like I could sit here and talk to you all day.
Same.
Oh, yeah.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
Like we stopped smoking cigars because
Yeah.
we were so intrigued on what you know.
Which
Real
doesn't
quick.
happen.
real quick, thank you so much for tuning in. Follow Aaron Williamson on Instagram, right? Mostly on Instagram,
Yeah.
TikTok, mostly
Yeah,
Instagram.
Mostly Instagram.
Right.
Yeah.
Where can people locate you?
My website is aaronwilliamson.net. My Instagram is Aaron V Williamson. I'll pop up with just Aaron Williamson, but that's where I'm mostly at.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in today. If you haven't subscribed, please do so and share the show. That's the only fee that we charge. So we'll see you next week.